Good morning, everybody. This is Scott Jewers again, and this is another personal entry in the Wolf and the Neural Network. This entry here is directed towards Wayne Eyre, the Chief of Defense Staff for the Canadian military in Canada, David Vigneault, the Director of CSIS. This is for Bill Blair, the Minister of Minister of National Defense, a previous police officer, and Mike Duheme, the now Commissioner for the RCMP, and Gabby Vandenberg, Director of EMIC. Dan Kinsella, Chief of Police for Halifax Regional Police, and Scott Wortley, the author of the Wortley Report, which was a major trigger that caused all these events and the associations with Jim Perrin and all the conversation about racism. Right, this is bringing all these leaders, so all these people underneath them, and now we're just going to build a straight line, right in line with Justin Trudeau. Right, I'm going to just talk to these people directly in a single message, so when they say, oh, we didn't know, you didn't know, he was talking, blah, 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 claim to be ignorant, they didn't know, and this got lost, it'll be bullshit, right? Everybody already knows that, but we know what they're going to try to do, right? Because that's what failure does. It doesn't face itself. It lies, cheats, and steals and blames everybody else and then pretends to be the victim, right? So all these people are going to pretend to be some kind of victim, when it's the facts are they're the ones who caused everything and the massive amounts of damage and lied, cheat, and stole as I faced this, right? So it's just really to bring everything together so the media tries to say, oh, they couldn't have known, or the media couldn't have known. It's all a lie, right? It's all a big lie to try to lie to all of Canada so they can cover up for the right kinds of white, and really what they're trying to achieve is pushing a Bill C-18 and to help these special interests hide from the law is they persecute, prosecute, and terrorize, literally terrorize other Canadians, demean them, charge them, arrest them, literally terrorize entire communities for years just so they can hide from who they really are. But what's important here is we're going to now talk about wolves and dominance. When you look at a wolf pack, they're amazingly intelligent social animals, beautiful creatures, beautiful. But when wolves go hunting, and they were presented, say, with a wolf, or a pack of, say, like 10 moose. They got an old moose who can hardly run. You've got 3 moose who are in really good shape, big horns on them, really big, way bigger than the others. You've got some female moose that don't have the big horns, or smaller, and you've got some babies. Who do you think those wolves are going to go after by nature? They call the weakest in the herd to drive natural selection of survival of the fittest. So they don't go after the fittest, they go after the weaker ones in the group. By default, because if you go after the bigger one, the right kind of white, then you might get hurt, right? So if you don't go after the biggest one, not the right kind of white, you don't get as hurt. You minimize your chances. You still get fed. You still look like you're a big hero taking down a moose, but you literally go after the weakest ones in the group. Now think about the behavior of RCMP, HRP, and going after minorities, gay people, women. Do you see the similarities, right? Because even though humans are apex predators, many of us like to trick ourselves, or like you, and really you're not apex predators, right? Because an apex predator would have no problem going after, a true apex predator would have no problem going after those right kinds of white. It would be absolutely confident in who and what it is, right? Right. So these police officers are not apex predators, they're opportunistic predators, really, right? They're opportunistic. They see people in groups with weaknesses who can't defend themselves. And unlike wolves, man, they're just driven by hunger. These cops aren't driven by that because, you know, they can go out and get food other ways. There's other jobs. There's other things that they can do to survive. They don't need to attack these people. So why are they doing it? Why are they going after minorities, gay people, women, the weaker in the group that don't have representation? It's so that they can pretend they're big men and they're big heroes, right? They ain't going to go after the right kind of white, because they might get hurt. So and then you see how that then turns into, that bias quickly turns into systemic violence, right? And then gender comes out as racism eventually, because it gets left to go on, get worse, 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 worse. It compounds, and then eventually people are doing horrible things, and everybody just says, well, that's the way it is. They're just wolves or boys being boys. The reality is, Wayne Eyre, you know, these aren't men. You know those police officers lied, right? You know this has to do with national defense, right? This was approved. The EMIC contracts were approved by Jody Thomas, Jonathan Vance, and Harjit Sajjan. So you know that the Prime Minister must have known in some capacity, right? You know that. You know that I'm doing the right thing and I'm not lying about anything. You know those police officers are lying, but why aren't you doing anything? Because it would mean you'd have to take on the right kind of white, so it's better to frame the white, the little faggot dog. That's right. You even stole historic apology from all of those groups, man, for gay people, blacks, Asians, any minority, women. Apology that was meant to be for all of them. You even stole it. involved in stealing it, and watch these people steal it. And you won't face them because you know that they might retaliate against you. So better go after the little faggot dog, better to go after the black people, right? And now, like, think about this. Think about your actions. Then think about the police, then, you know, probably stealing my wallet and then lying about all that. J.D. Irving retaliating, right, because of what my manager did. But then think about the police showing up threatening my mother. Think about the similarities here. And then RCMP stalking me, pointing down at me, driving back and forth when I was protesting racism. RCMP stalking me to the store. Going through all this extremely opportunistic predatory behavior, right? Stalking me out of my sister's driveway because I'm a gay man. You guys don't see the pattern here? And then, you know, when the dog got murdered, you got them stalking me up the road and driving back and forth. The same thing that the police did, because it's opportunistic predators. It's predatory behavior, right? And then Jessica, then lying through her teeth, threatening me in that phone call.
And they told me, Jessica, that if I even mention J.D. Irving, they will have me fucking arrested and pumped full of drugs.
And then stalking an 80-year-old woman. Isn't it interesting that they all chose to now target an 80-year-old woman? While some of these people involved with the dog murdering also targeted an 80-year-old woman. So now you got children, all these people targeted. The older person in the group, the weaker one, but then all these big men sending police here. I've got blisters on my feet walking to see my dying mother in the hospital. Those aren't men, them are opportunistic fucking predators, vultures. Right, do you see the similarities between the military targeting me, all these people, the police targeting black people, stealing an apology, targeting me because I'm the weaker person, but protecting the right kinds of white? Even going as far as to target the weakest in the group, a sick, disabled woman, a cancer patient, children. Literally, they threatened children so bad that RCMP was called because they're pedophiles. But nobody went after these big men, these right kinds of white, because they're opportunistic predators. This is absolutely a failure of every level of our government in Canada. Our military and of police. You know the difference. You know I'm right. You know the police lied. Are you going to face it, Wayne? No, you're going to hide like a coward, just like David Vigneault, just like Bill Blair will, and just like Mike Duheme, right? Again, all men, all big fucking men, but you can't face this. Because the reality is, when you strip away your guns, your money, and your blind authority, you're nothing. You're nothing but exactly like the failures for men that I grew up with. You're cowards. When it comes time to make the hard decision and face the right kinds of white, you're cowards sitting back judging me for trying to do the right thing, for showing some integrity, for showing skill, for showing confidence. It's a fucking disgrace. It's a national disgrace and embarrassment. Here you are hiding, blaming everybody else, while pretending you would never do that. You would never ever, because you're the big man. You're going to stand up for Canadians and what's right. No, you're incapable. And you all know that put me in a room with any of you, I'm going to walk all over you. I've literally done all of your jobs for you, right? But you can't face that. You need me to be just some little faggot dog, because if not, you'd have to face yourselves, who and what you really are. And that's what this is about. It isn't really about me. It's that you fuckers can't face yourselves and need somebody else to blame, and I'm the easy target, no different than the wolves. It doesn't make you the apex predators that you think you are. It just makes you predictable failures. Typical fucking men. It's depressing, because when I started this, I hoped I'd find a real man or an example of real men. All I found were a bunch of little cowards, a bunch of little boys hiding in the fucking corner, blaming everybody else, looking for a daddy to explain their own self-worth instead of being confident, capable men and dealing with these problems. Well, they take the pats on the back, say, I put my big boy pants on, I'm just the big boy. It's an embarrassment. Anyways, to everybody else, this shows you all these people absolutely know. They know what they're doing. They're all involved and all related. And now this brings everybody, pulls the line tight right up to Justin Trudeau. And gets ready for the next video and what's going to happen next.